NCAA Division II Football Championship presented on ESPNU by Enterprise. We welcome you to Bearcat Stadium in Maryville, Missouri, where tonight it's the Northwest Missouri State Bearcats hosting the Huskies of Bloomsburg. Semifinal action here, also semifinal action up in Michigan, as top-ranked Grand Valley State will be hosting Delta State tonight on ESPN2 starting at 7 o'clock. Well, hi again, everyone. I'm Dave Armstrong, along with former NFL quarterback Kelly Stouffer. And Kelly, this is kind of a classic matchup between David and Goliath. The Goliath here being the Bearcats. I mean, this is a powerful program, 36 scholarships, maybe arguably the best facilities in Division II. And then there's tiny little Bloomsburg coming in with only 8.5 scholarships, operating on a shoestring budget.
I think the Huskies relish that position, but they're going to have to do a lot of things right. Just like David versus Goliath, there was a small margin of error, and they're going to have to play very clean to have a chance to win it in the fourth quarter.
And maybe the most simplest thing they need to do is something they do very well, and that is run the football. They are very good at that. Jamar Brittingham is one of the best in the country.
Yeah, Jamar Brittingham is going to have to get it early, and he's going to have to get it often. And this is a team that loves to what I call pound the rock. They will run it even when they're not being productive. They will continue to give Brittingham the football. He was banged up early in the year, but he's rounding in the form at just the right time.
Their patience is going to be tested on the ground here tonight, too, because Northwest Missouri State probably as good against the run as anyone in the country.
You're absolutely right. And they play a team concept. This is a team game. They play team defense. Ben Harness, their linebacker, the senior, is the one that gets everyone in the right position. You can see right there, they don't allow people to run the football on them, but Ben Harness is really the brain trust of that defense. He gets them in the right place. They tackle well. It's going to be tough sledding for the Huskies tonight.
Well, we'll see if they can do that sledding tonight. And as we get ready for this one, let's take you into the Huskies locker room and hear what Bloomsburg has to say about their effort tonight against the Bearcats.
If you're standing on the sideline cheering on or you're on the field, you're mentally exhausted from this game. As a coaching staff, we will be mentally exhausted when we finish this game 60 minutes playtime from now. Comprende? Let's go for it. Let's go, baby.
I got you. I wasn't trying to win.
We welcome you back to Bearcat Stadium in Maryville, Missouri. Beautiful facility here that has been totally redone since the turn of the century. We're all set for NCAA Division II semifinals here on ESPNU. With Kelly Stouffer, I'm Dave Armstrong. Glad to have you with us. And one of the most exciting venues for Division II football in the land, a program that was really rebuilt by their head coach, Mel Churchma. This program was really almost non-existent until this guy showed up. He has now been at Northwest Missouri State. This is his 13th year, and look at that record of 131-35. And consider this, folks, he lost his first 11 games here. So if you take out year one, he's 131-24, Kelly.
Absolutely incredible. 0-11 his first season, and things have gone nowhere but up since then. But he built a foundation. He stuck with it. He knows how to recruit and motivate players. Just a tremendous program.
And Danny Hale, you could say the same about him. He has done the exact same thing at Bloomsburg.
Absolutely. It doesn't quite have the facilities or the resources, but again, you stick with what you believe in. You build a foundation. You get the kids. You motivate them. You coach them up. Both of these coaches, we're in for a treat tonight.
We certainly are. Bloomsburg coming here to Maryville for the first time, and they're enjoying great weather. 51 degrees here in early December. Now, the wind could be a factor. It's blowing heavily out of the south at around 17 miles per hour. Sunny now, and it's going to be a little bit dark here in a very short period of time, and that's one of the things that these Bearcats are excited about, playing under the lights for the first time since 1977.
They didn't really care about having us here, being on ESPNU, but it was under the lights, a night game that they were all stoked about.
So their fans are all set to go. The student body, they're waving the towels and excited about Bearcat football. And to kick things off for the Bloomsburg Huskies, that'll be John Koenig, who is kicking off, and he is kicking off deep to E.J. Faulkner and Kendall Wright. It's a short kick, an onside kick, and guess what? It's covered by Bloomsburg. A huge start for Bloomsburg here as the Huskies gamble on the opening kickoff.
You referenced David and Goliath to begin with. This is how David beats Goliath, going out of the box and doing things just like that. Onside kick to open the game.
So Bloomsburg comes out and surprises Northwest Missouri State, and they've got it at their own 47-yard line.
And perfectly executed. And that ball actually looked like it touched a Husky before it went 10 yards. Good play anyway.
Again, running the ball, Jamar Brittingham, a tough 1 yard, and that's about it. So let's check it out again as Bloomsburg decides to roll the dice on the opening kickoff.
And it's all about the element of surprise, but then you have to execute it as well. The player next to the tee kicked the ball with his left foot. Absolutely great execution, but when you're David going against Goliath, you have to take chances. Why not start from the top?
Boy, he took the first stone out of that little sack and just fired it right at the forehead. So Dan Latour, the true freshman quarterback, under center. And on a draw play, he gives it off to Brittingham, who is tripped up behind the line, stumbles ahead for 1 yard. Dan Latour, what an outstanding year he has had as a true freshman out of Ellsburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the key today, is if that true freshman without much experience, and the deeper you go in the playoffs as a freshman, obviously you're experiencing a lot of things for the first time. He's going to have to stay grounded, make great decisions, and rely on that running game.
He's going to have to rely on his arm right here. 3rd and 9 for the Huskies. Rolling out to his right and hit behind the line of scrimmage. Big play defensively in there by Ben Harness, the guy you were talking about in the open.
There's that senior linebacker showing up with a big play. On 3rd down, Harness comes across with the sack. But, Dave, if Bloomsburg has to make a living on 3rd and long, it's going to be a long afternoon. It's just speed to the football. And actually, Harness was in coverage initially, but when the quarterback comes to his side, he's the one that has to shoot the gap and keep containing. He did a tremendous job right there.
So what little momentum the Huskies had after that onside kick, they've lost it as they go 3 and out. And this will be a very short punt that goes out of bounds and will give the Bearcats excellent field position as the punt goes out at the 37-yard line. The quarterback of the Bearcats is Josh Matthews, a junior. And isn't it interesting that in 1977, the last time the Bearcats played under the lights, they were quarterbacked by a guy by the name of Kirk Matthews. Related? You bet. Kirk is Josh's dad. So here we are 30 years later.
And Josh is well on his way to totally eradicating his dad from the record books as well, at least on top of the record books.
So here come the Bearcats on offense for the first time. Again, great field position starting at their own 37 from the shotgun. Matthews swings it out, pass to Faulkner. He's got room to run, and Faulkner across midfield. He stopped at the 47 of the Huskies. The Bearcats, as we look at their lineups, they are not one-dimensional. They have not only the passing attack, their main guy is Kendall Wright, who has 70 catches this year, but they can also run it. Xavier Oman, one of the best runners in Bearcat history. In fact, statistically, he is the best. That front line, very solid. Reed Kirby, all Southwest region. The run here for Oman, and he bowls ahead past the 35, down to the 34, before Tritine could finally bring him down. Here's the defense for the Huskies, and up front it's Barton and Gripe and Keating and Cologne. The linebackers, all good ones, led by Rob Biernat, who has 77 tackles this year. Also look out for Matt Smith. The secondary features Tryler Tritine. He is one of the best players in all of Division II. In fact, some NFL teams are taking a look at him. Little check off here for Matthews at the line. And the give here is to Oman. He busts a hole of his own as he goes right over center and all the way down to the 28-yard line before Jesse Cooper could make the stop.
And we can see Oman right there. And Oman was banged up early in the year as well. He got hurt against Central Missouri, broke some ribs. Once he got back and got healthy, he's been getting yardage in large chunks. And what we're seeing right now is the diversified offense out of the Bearcats. They can run it, they can throw it. They do a lot of things very well.
So the Bearcats are marching right down the field with pressure coming The pass is completed out to Kendall Wright, who now has 71 catches this year, and he takes it down to the 10.
Well, Dave, just to get you caught up a little bit, we've had so many fireworks to start this game, and Matthews doing a nice job. You can see the trio of receivers, and outside is Wright, and he's really the check down receiver. If Matthews gets in trouble, Matthews had a little pressure, does a good job of getting rid of the football. But multiple formations, a lot of motions, spread the field. You can run or pass. About 70% out of the gun is what we're going to see out of the Bearcats.
First and goal for the Bearcats at the 10-yard line. Matthews back to throw it. He's got his man and hit down right at the goal line is E.J. Faulkner. A saving tackle there for Riccardi, at least for the moment, but the ball will be spotted inside the 1.
And Faulkner is lined up outside, actually inside, moves outside, sits down. A good job of giving his quarterback a good outlet. You see the pressure. The Huskies were bringing pressure right up the middle, which you're going to have to expect in the red zone. But Matthews doing a good job of getting the ball out accurately on time.
What an impressive drive for the Bearcats. Now Oman busts into the end zone. Touchdown, Bearcats. Boy, did they make it look easy. They marched right down the field, starting at their own 37 and taking it right in for the go-ahead score.
Well, if we're talking about David and Goliath, I think Goliath just responded right there. They hold him on after the abnormal start on the onside kick. And if you're Bloomsburg, you want that onside kick to produce something. You just got taken to the woodshed by this tremendous offense of the Bearcats.
Well, if that served as a wake-up call for the Bearcats, they're fully awake now. These Bearcats certainly not in hibernation as they march it right down the field. And Xavier Oman with his 20th touchdown run of the year. And it's Northwest Missouri State leading 7-0. And Santa predicts Northwest undefeated. Thank you for that. And Northwest Missouri State undefeated so far at 13-0, and they go 6 plays, 63 yards in under 2 minutes, and Oman takes it in from the 1.
Tell you what, I hope you got sit down at the start of this game. You didn't spend an extra few seconds at the refrigerator getting something to drink, because tell you what, we got after it right away.
Well, speaking of the refrigerator, I was thinking about this on the drive up today, coming here to Maryville, beautiful, quaint little town in northwest Missouri, and I was thinking that really from the distance from your sofa to your refrigerator is about the distance that kept Northwest Missouri State from a national title last year. They were stopped at the 4-yard line as time ran out. Short kick here taken by Shook. Shook evades a tackle and then is forced out of bounds at the 27-yard line. So let's set the offense now for the Huskies. We didn't get much of a chance to do that earlier. Brittingham is their running back, and I mean they run the ball. If they do throw it, most likely they'll throw it to Brahim Bilal. Their offensive front line is a very good one. In fact, Dave Shamaria is one of those guys that the NFL scouts are starting to take a look at. He could follow in the footsteps of Jari Evans, who's now playing for New Orleans. First down for the Huskies. And again on the draw play. Got a flag coming into the fray. Little room to run this time for Brittingham as he gets it up to the 33, but we'll see what the flag is about. Brandon Clayton makes the stop. Our referee, Bob Zaradka.
Illegal motion. Number 23 in offense.
So bring that play back and mark them back 5 yards. Here's the defense for Northwest Missouri State, and Mel Churchman says we live and die by our defense, and it's very good. Kyle Kaiser, outstanding at nose tackle, a real spark plug inside. The linebackers are all good. Ben Harness, as we pointed out, he's really the leader on the field. He's like a coach out there. And the secondary, very, very good. 3 interceptions for Burnside, 3 more for Pratt, 3 more for Clayton, and 2 for Calvert. This is a team that's very opportunistic. So after the penalty, make it 1st and 15. So far, the Huskies are going backwards in this game. Brittingham again stays on his feet across the 25, gets it up to the 26-yard line. It'll bring up 2nd and 12.
Well, the Huskies really, their game plan, Dave, for the most part offensively and really team-wide, they have to be ahead and down in distance because the table setter for their offense is be able to run the football and then play action pass over the top. You don't do that by giving up 5 on the illegal motion.
The only thing so far that's gone right for the Huskies is that opening onside kick. Ever since then, they've been backpedaling. Brittingham again. Tries to cut it back and no room to run. Again stifled, and it brings up another 3rd and long.
Just watch how quickly the defensive line for the Bearcats, they get off of blocks, they stay on their feet, particularly number 58, Kyle Kaiser. They're very good at getting off blocks and continuing to cross the line of scrimmage. Stopping good running games is all about penetration, and they do it very well.
Kaiser built like a nose tackle, isn't he? 6 feet, 295.
Yeah, and if he's 6 feet, I'm 7 feet tall.
And that pass intended for Shook, well short of the target, and if it was on target, Burnside's probably had it picked.
Yeah, right now what's happening is Bloomsburg likes to move their quarterback. A lot of if they're not play actioning, they're moving their quarterback on really a total sprint outside. And if Northwest Missouri State recognizing that, they're firing their contained guy right at the quarterback. And right now he's unblocked right in Latour's face.
Tough start for the Huskies. 2 offensive possessions, 2 3-and-outs, and here comes some pressure. It's a low line drive kick. It's going to take a Husky roll and turn out okay. And it rolls all the way down inside the 30. They'll down it to the 29-yard line. A kick that maybe went 5 yards in the air, and the rest of it on the ground. So Mel Churchman, his Bearcats, will go back on offense, already leading by a touchdown. NCAA Championships on ESPN, the Division II Football Championship presented by ESPNU by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Pick Enterprise, we'll pick you up. From quaint Maryville, Missouri, on the campus of Northwest Missouri State, Mel Churchma looking to get back to that championship game for yet another time. Last year they were oh so close. They lost basically on the last play as they fell 4 yards shy of their target, the end zone. And they said that's been a motivating factor for them all season long. Flags come in before this play can get underway.
To the snap. False start. Number 74 offense.
Joe Holtzclaw, the captain, the guilty party. But when you look at Northwest Missouri State, 13-0 this year. They win yet another MIAA crown, ranked number 2 in the country. And look what they've done here at home.
Yeah, this is obviously a home field advantage, and we're already seeing that set in early in this game.
Of course, trying to get back to that national championship again. They lost it last year on that last play of the game. And they lost it to one of the teams that is still alive, Grand Valley. We'll see if that's the matchup. Right now it looks good for Northwest Missouri State. They took that opening drive, averaged 10 yards per play. This time Oman is stopped after a short game by Tillotson.
And a thing to keep an eye on early in this game, Dave, is Northwest Missouri State has outscored their opponent 144-16 this season in the first quarter. Bloomsburg cannot afford to get behind like that today.
Oman again picking a hole, staying on his feet, and busting it up across the 35. He lost the ball momentarily, but got it back, and he is stopped at the 37-yard line. It'll be up 3rd and 3.
In that second and very long situation, Bloomsburg obviously anticipating a pass and a tendency breaker by Northwest Missouri State by running the football on 2nd long. Very productive.
Danny Hale and his Huskies certainly have their hands full here tonight. So what do you call here, Coach, on 3rd and a long 2? A little trickery. Here comes Faulkner trying to get to the outside. He does and has a first down. Forced out at the 42 by Riccardi. Right now, it looks like the Bearcats are winning the power game and also the speed game.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right. Get the football to your skilled speed players, of which Faulkner is the fastest one on this offensive unit. And that's what pressures the defense if you're the Bearcats, is you have multiple formations, multiple motions.
Quick hitter, that one out to Kendall Wright. And he picks up 5 yards on first down. You can see as Geit makes the stop there why Matthews is throwing at a 66% rate this year.
Yeah, he's very accurate, but he throws a lot of possession type of throws. And what Coach Churchma, head coach, offensive coordinator as well, what he's doing right now is he's probing the defense with formations and motions, getting a sense of what Bloomsburg wants to take away, and then he's going to exploit what they don't.
Didn't you like his low-key approach when we asked him about being offensive coordinator this year in addition to being head coach? He said, well, it's really not all that much different than what I've been doing in the past. He really downplayed the role, didn't he?
Yeah, and you look at the productivity on that side of the ball, and you see that obviously there's more to it than that. But he said a couple of, I think, important things. One, he said it's a great time for me to take that coordinating position over again because our defense is so good, they cover up my mistakes in play calling. And I think we're going to see that this afternoon or this evening.
Well, 3rd and 6 here for the Bearcats. Huskies showing pressure. Here comes the blitz, picked up, and the pass is caught. Good play over there by Raphael Robinson as he got 1 foot in bounds, and that's a first down.
And right now it's just a little bit too easy for Northwest Missouri State. Matthews is just going to drop back, and he sees his single receiver, which is Robinson, out wide. It's a comeback, way too much room given up by Jesse Cooper. He's a freshman, 5'7", 160. There is a big mismatch if you're talking about the Bearcat wide receivers against Bloomsburg defensive backs.
6 for 7 so far through the air for Matthews to 3 different receivers. Now he wants to go long, and the pass is tipped at the last second by Tritine. He saved a touchdown.
Tritine is one of those very active safeties. He comes off the hash, number 16, just watching the quarterback roll. So the safety naturally rolls that way, and that extra ground by watching the quarterback go that way ended up paying off for Tritine in the end.
Well, that was right on target to Kendall Wright, and that would have been another 6 for the Bearcats. So Tritine saves the day for the moment. Now 2nd and 10. The give this time to Oman. He pushes that pile forward and forces his way down to the 33.
Dave, what I think Northwest Missouri State is capable of is they're capable of overcoming negative plays. When they get in 2nd or 3rd and long, I think they can overcome those plays. I'm not convinced the Huskies on the other side of the field can do the same.
So when they get a penalty against them, it's probably going to be a punt situation. Whereas for Churchma and his Bearcats, he's like, that's no big deal. Back us up 5. We'll come right back at you. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to Bearcat Stadium in Maryville, Missouri, as the sun sets here in the Midwest. With Kelly Stouffer, I'm Dave Armstrong, welcoming you back for NCAA Division II semifinal action. And you see the Bearcats dominant at home, dominant in the playoffs, and so far dominant in this game. Oman with a nice little cutback, and he is stopped at the 14-yard line. Boy, Oman finding room to run. They're passing the ball well, and the Bearcats are doing everything they want. Now, hold on a minute. There is a penalty flag down on the field.
We're going to get holding on the Bearcats, I think, out there on the edge. When your running back bounces it out to a place you're not expecting to run, sometimes that's exactly where you get the holding penalty.
Number 74 on offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat 3rd down.
That's on Joe Holtzclaw. Both penalties so far against the Bearcats on the same guy, the right tackle for Churchman's Bearcats.
Yeah, no, Holtzclaw, Dave, is a senior. He's a captain, and he's also one of the 2 returning starters up front. You can't have mistakes out of your veteran players if you want to get to that championship game.
Kelly, that's like a 26-yard penalty. They were at the 15. Now they're backed up to the 41, and it's a 3rd down and 13. 3rd and 13. Matthews wants to run for it, and he is stopped at the 33-yard line. Zach Barton gets him from behind.
This might be in 4-down territory just because it would be a tremendously long field goal, about a 50-yarder if you mark it 7 yards deep from right there. So you probably go ahead and go for it.
And Kelly, I think it's also worth the risk for the Bearcats because look what their defense has done so far. They've held the Huskies to negative yards.
You know, that's a great point. If you're calling plays offensively, you know your defense is holding serve, it gives you a lot more flexibility.
So they are going to go for it here on 4th and 5. An empty backfield for Matthews. From the shotgun, he fires a strike to Kendall Wright, and that's a 1st down to the 25.
And that's the difference between one offense and the other is when you can go a multiple set, the bunch formation to the right of the quarterback, and Kendall Wright, number 4, is right in the middle. At the snap, they explode off the football, and Wright just simply goes and sets down 1st down yardage and gets the football.
That guy right there, number 74, Joe Holtzclaw, is the happiest guy on the Bearcat team. He's just been bailed out by an offense on that 4th and 5. Oman tries that same play where they had the holding call. This time, no flag, and he takes it back down to the 15 where Jesse Cooper makes the stop.
But you see the multiple formations and the multiple motions really presses a defense mentally. You have to be so tied up with your assignments when the offense is constantly giving you multiple looks.
Well, look at this. Total yards, that really tells the story. The 7-0 score doesn't give you the full picture, but the total yards certainly do in this game. 2nd and very short. Playbook wide open now for the Bearcats. And a little draw play to Oman. He'll have the 1st down as he's stopped down at the 13-yard line by Sosnovic. Kyle Sosnovic, the senior out of Belvedere, Pennsylvania, with his 38th tackle of the year.
Dave, that defensive team for Bloomsburg is a very good unit. And what they like to do is use a lot of players. They rotate players in. They use 6 or 7 defensive linemen. And we got word before the game, number 63, Scott Keating, a senior defensive tackle, twisted his ankle during the week, and I don't see him on the field. I haven't seen him yet this evening.
Twisted it playing racquetball of all things. And a short pass play here goes out of bounds. Pass is caught by Faulkner, and very little gain as Tratine was right there defensively.
You know, and you used the analogy at the top, I think rightly so, David versus Goliath. And when you're David, you need a lot of bodies to throw at Goliath. And when you have one of your leading tacklers on that defensive line in Keating sitting over on the sideline, that hurts big time.
Thanks to history, though, we know how the David-Goliath thing turned out. So far, it's an opposite story here. The Goliath here, the Bearcats, they're dominating this game. A little screen pass comes into the hands of Zach Sherman, what they describe as their B-back or their fullback, and very little gain here. They takes it down to close to the 10-yard line, where it's going to bring up 3rd and 6.
And Daper, 57 right there, is one of those defensive linemen. Made a nice play, sniffing out that screen, do a good job of recognizing it and then making a play. And because of Keating's injury, Steve Dapper 57 is going to have to get more snaps tonight.
Bearcats need the 3-yard line for a 1st down. Pressure coming from behind. And Matthews was hit as he threw the ball. Marcus Waddy was coming from the cornerback spot. So now let's see what Churchman decides to do here. He's going to bring out the field goal unit and try to tack 3 more on the board. Tommy Freevert is his place kicker. He's 10 of 19 this year in field goals, a long of 41. This one well within his range, as they'll start it out at the 21-yard line, which makes it a 31-yard attempt.
And the quarterback, Josh Matthews, 17, is the holder, so you never know. But you would think Churchmill wants to get more points on the board and extend this lead right here.
Get up a couple of scores, and with his defense, he's probably thinking that's good. Into the wind, and it is good for Tommy Freevert. That was a tougher kick than maybe at first blush, because he was kicking into that 20-mile-per-hour southern breeze. The Bearcats tack on 3 more. And right now, Mel Churchman is saying, hey, Tommy, good kick into that breeze. Had just enough to get it up over the goalpost.
And boy, oh boy, Dave, if you're Bloomsburg, you need a drive. You need some life out of your offense. Your offense is based on running the football, and then your play-action passing game comes after that. But if you get behind, you have to abandon that and start doing other things. They're in jeopardy of doing that right now.
And not only that, talk about the wind a little bit. A lot easier to move downwind, and that's what Bloomsburg has here in the first quarter. They are downwind, and they're not moving the ball.
You know, and usually Bloomsburg doesn't care because they're running the football. They don't care if they're going into the wind, against the wind, or what the weather's like. They have the ideal offense. I just don't think they have the ideal personnel or the matchup today against this Northwest Missouri State defense.
Well, they told us they're going to stick to the run. That's their game plan. Brittingham is the guy that they're going to depend on, and if he struggles, they're going to struggle. And keep this in mind, the Bearcats last week against Chadron State of Nebraska, they held Danny Woodhead to just 16 yards on 16 carries. What makes that significant? Woodhead had been averaging 228 yards per game on the ground. A booming kick into that wind again. And the ball is taken at the 15-yard line by Shook. And he'll take it down to the 33-yard line. Don't forget, later tonight, the NCAA Division II Football Championship continues as the number 11 Delta State Statesmen take on the top-ranked Grand Valley State Lakers in the semifinals. The NCAA Division II Football Championship on ESPN2, presented by Enterprise. Later tonight at 7 Eastern. Also available on high definition on ESPN2 HD. Call your cable operator or satellite provider today. 1st and 10 for the Huskies. They've got to get something going. 2 3-and-out so far for Bloomsburg. Short drop. Pass is complete. Good play here as they get it outside to Brahim Bilal. So the Huskies with their first down of the game. They finished 6-0 in the PSAC. Again, another conference championship for them. They have won or shared the conference championship 13 times in the 14 years for Danny Hale. They come into this game at 12-1 overall. Cross midfield to the 49. A lot of sidestepping for Brittingham. Not much north and south running, and he stopped for a loss of 2.
And the play before, we saw Latour on the quick slant. And I think that is exactly what is going to have to happen today. Latour is going to have to make some plays in the passing game. At the very least, make some plays to loosen up that defense. Because right now, Northwest Missouri State is daring Bloomsburg to throw the football.
Well, they certainly are. Latour will come over to the sideline after a dominant first quarter by the Bearcats. So when you look at the first 15 minutes in the books, it was certainly all Northwest Missouri State. They're not raising the white flag. They're leading 10-0. Well, certainly a lot for the Bearcats to be cheering about right now. Look at those stats from the first quarter. Bloomsburg held a -10 yards on the ground, and Northwest Missouri State rolls to a 10-0 lead after the first 15 minutes of play. Here facing a 2nd and 11 right at midfield, Daniel Latour. Rolling out, feeling some pressure. Latour's going to run for it, and he runs out of bounds. Forced out at the 44-yard line by Chris Termini.
Latour has some quicks on him right there. He got around that edge very quickly, but that's their passing game. When they're not play-action passing in the pocket, they're going to sprint Latour out and get him a look at things outside.
One of the few times, Kelly, they've had positive yards on the ground.
And it came on 2nd and long, getting into a 3rd and much more manageable situation. Very important, especially for this team.
Huskies need the 39 for a first down. Looking to throw it, Latour puts it up, and a pass is caught. Nice catch by Shook, and a first down for the Huskies down to the 23-yard line.
It's amazing what a couple of plays in the passing game is going to do for that running game. Once again, the sprint out, and Shook is just simply going man-to-man coverage, going to the corner. Very good touch. This isn't an easy pass to make, especially when you're on the move. But look how Shook gets the ball in, secure it, and then get at least 1 foot down.
So down to the 23. Now Brittingham. And again, not much room to run. And he isn't the type of runner, Brittingham, that can really run outside a lot. He is a guy that will really just come at you and go right at you, the north-south kind of stuff.
Well, you made the comment about Danny Woodhead from Chadron State a week ago. And this is the thing that the Chadron State coaches did with Danny Woodhead, being their workhorse. They got him involved in the passing game when they couldn't run the football. Brittingham, like you just said, is not that type of player.
Looks like there's some movement on the part of the Huskies. Kuklik, the tight end. He went along with Luke Adams, the left tackle. And right now, I'm sure Danny Hale saying, guys, it's hard enough against the Bearcats. Let's not play against ourselves, too.
Yeah, knowing that man, he's saying it in some form, probably as nice as you just did. But it's those pre-snap penalties that really set them back. When you get pre-snap penalties, before you even snap the football, you lose 5 yards. That's hard to take.
And right now, considering this wind, they better gain some yards just to get back into field goal range. Latour trying to change the play, the crowd making it difficult. The give to Brittingham, a little stutter step, and he gets it down to the 25, a gain of 2. But again, 3rd and long. Thomas Smith came up from his linebacker position to make the stop. Smith, a transfer from the University of Northern Colorado, and a guy that made all Southwest region. Limping off right now, Brittingham, and that's all the Huskies needed, although they have a great backup in Josh Heck, who wound up being all-conference when he subbed for Brittingham earlier this year.
And in front of Brittingham was 71 Winton Shelton, the starting right guard. When your starting right guard and your starting running back limp off together, that's generally not a good sign.
Not at all. And a timeout taken here by the Bearcats. So Northwest Missouri State, they weren't in the defense they wanted to be, so they call a timeout. 10-0 the lead for the Bearcats. Northwest Missouri State dominating the first quarter, leading 10-0. Catch the NCAA Division II Football Championship live on ESPN2. The road to Florence, Alabama to crown the national champion begins at 12 Eastern on December 16th. For a preview of every NCAA National Championship and ticket information, including the 2006 NCAA Division II Football Championship, go to ncaasports.com. You're looking at Jamar Brittingham, who injured his ankle, and it looks like he's really wincing in pain over there. He has been hobbled by injuries all season long. Earlier, it was a knee. Most recently, it's been that ankle. And if he doesn't return, it's going to be more bad news for the Huskies. Throwing it up into the end zone. It looked like the receiver, Masters, had gone out of bounds anyway, and the pass incomplete.
And that down and distance is exactly where I think the Huskies have issues. I don't think they match up particularly well outside. Their skilled wide receivers against the defensive backs for the Bearcats. I think the Bearcats win that matchup.
Look out for a trick play here. Koenig lining it up for what would be a 42-yard kick. His longest this year, 40 yards, and again, this one into the wind. They're going to try it. The kick is on its way, and it is good.
Wow.
What a kick for John Koenig. So the Huskies get on the board with the longest kick of Koenig's freshman year. So Danny Hale is going, all right. The freshman kicker puts the Huskies on the board, and it's 10-3 Bearcats. Northwest Missouri State 10, Bloomsburg 3. They get on the board with a 42-yard field goal. They go 8 plays, 42 yards. And the interesting thing to note there is that they hadn't moved the ball at all. But watch the hold here by Joey Kleiner and the great kick by Koenig.
Yeah, the snap is a little bit low. It actually skips on the ground, and Kleiner does a great job of not only to catch it, but then to spot it where your freshman kicker can kick the longest field goal that he's had all year, or actually obviously in his entire career. That was a tremendous play.
Kelly, long snapper, holder, those are the guys that are like offensive linemen. You don't mention them much usually unless they make a mistake, but give Kleiner a lot of credit there for that kick.
And Brad Naylor is the long snapper, and he's the backup fullback, and sometimes those fullback get their hands beat up blocking for those running backs, so Naylor bounced that one just a little bit.
Koenig's short kick here. Coming up to grab it is Faulkner. And he takes it up to the 33-yard line. ESPNU's coverage of college basketball continues with a doubleheader Wednesday night at 7 Eastern. 24th-ranked Xavier take on the Cincinnati Bearcats. Then at 9 Eastern, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons face the DePaul Blue Demons. College basketball on ESPNU Wednesday. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. So here come the Bearcats on offense again. They've scored on their first 2 drives, a touchdown, then a field goal. And they start here at their own 32-yard line. Across the middle, the ball was tipped. Pass intended for Kendall Wright. Don't forget, we're in the semifinals here with Northwest Missouri State hosting Bloomsburg. The winner will get either Grand Valley State or Delta State, and a game that you can see on ESPN2 starting at 7 o'clock Eastern tonight. Grand Valley State and Northwest Missouri State, the 2 teams that hooked up in an exciting national championship game a year ago. Here comes Faulkner, does a little dance at the 40 and gets more yards up to the 49 before Biernat could force him out of bounds.
Josh Matthews does a lot of play calling at the line of scrimmage. He looks to the sideline and then tries to get in the right play. Trips receivers to one side, and then they give it to their speed guy, Faulkner. Very good job by the other 2 receivers blocking up front, but that's a very tough matchup for this Husky defense.
Well, look at Matthews so far, Kelly. 10 for 13 for 91 yards, and he is buoyed by the fact that he has multiple receivers to throw it to. And then he can also give it to Amon, who runs hard. Amon is literally pulling a Husky down the field. Kyle Sosnovic was going for a ride.
Yeah, he certainly was, and I don't think you get paid for doing that out on this field. You got to pay for rides in the amusement park, but Oman is a very, very physical receiver. He had broken ribs early in the year, and once he got healthy, he started to run just like this. They knew he was back when he started to finish plays like that run.
Oof. Oman, over 4,500 yards on the ground in his career. That's almost 1,000 yards more than anyone else in Bearcat history. This time almost no gain as Marcus Waddy comes in to spoil the play. Robinson does make the catch, but a gain of only about 1.5 yards. They'll officially give him 2, makes it 2nd and 8. But you look at Faulkner, Wright, Robinson, Sherman, they've all caught at least 1 pass so far from Josh Matthews, who is now 11 of 14 here tonight. Here comes the end around. And it was well played as Wright couldn't get to the corner. Riccardi was there to make the stop, but there is a flag on the play.
And it's also going to be holding once again as the Bearcats want to get around the edge.
So it is holding against the Bearcats. Now an interesting decision if you're the Huskies. Do you take the penalty and back them up another 10, or do you go ahead and take the play in the down?
Well, it looked like to me that the Bearcats want to, or actually the Huskies want to back them up. I don't know that you want to give this offense another roll of the dice. You had a very nice play. The reverse tackled for a loss. The hold right there at the end. I couldn't see the offensive lineman, but
right there.
Yeah, he grabbed. There was actually a couple of them. You can take your pick. But I'm not so sure I agree with backing him up right there. Put him in third in what was already long.
Yeah, 3rd and 12, and now instead you're 2nd and 18.
And given a very diverse offense and a quarterback that can make every throw, another down to get it back.
I agree with you. I think I might have just taken the down. Matthews, plenty of time to throw. Has to tuck it and run. Good coverage by the secondary of the Huskies. He gets it back to the 40-yard line. Cologne was there to make the stop.
Well, we're back to about where we would have been anyway.
Right.
It was 3rd and 12, and now it's going to be 3rd and about 13 and a half.
So all that bannering by us, and it really didn't matter, did it?
Yeah, we should learn that. Basically, most of what we say goes out the window anyway, right? If anyone's really paying attention.
That's true. So Churchman, his offense, facing a 3rd and 13. They haven't had to punt the ball yet. Touchdown on the first drive, a field goal on the second. This time a strike right down the middle of the defense to Robinson. What a pass by Matthews. Man, did he fire that one in there.
That's a big-time throw right there. Remember, it's 3rd and 13 and a half. The skinny post up top coming into your screen right there is Robinson just taking advantage of number 7, Riccardi. The safety has to squeeze that from the inside as the corner squeezes it from the outside. Way too much room. That ball was in the air quite a long time. Not very good reaction out of the guys in the secondary.
Big play on 3rd down there. So Robinson with his 3rd catch. Now Oman. He's able to bust it across the left side. He gets it inside the 10, down to the 8-yard line.
Dave, remember what we talked about in the first quarter? This offense by the Bearcats has the ability to overcome negative plays and long down and distances. I don't think Bloomsburg offense has the ability to do that on a consistent basis.
2nd and 5 here facing Matthews in this offense. The pitch out to Amon. That was well covered by the Huskies. Zach Barton was the first one there, but that defensive line really moved well.
Yeah, I think if you're going to go wide, you don't want your big fullback in the game to do it. 41, Zach Sherman was in the game. I think if you want to go wide, if you're Northwest Missouri State, you do it out of your gun spread. And I think you spread the defense, and there are more running lanes that way. And you can utilize, I think, the mismatch you have in your skilled people.
Well, facing a 3rd and 8 here at the 10-yard line, so they need to get to the 2 for a first down. Matthews, quick drop. And the pass incomplete, out of the reach of Wright. And if he can't grab it, no one can.
And Bloomsburg brought pressure, trying to force a bad throw, and that's exactly what they did. Bloomsburg is conservative most of the time defensively, trying to just look for one play that gets the offense off the field. That's the play that kept them out of the end zone right there.
So this time, Freevert will set up for another field goal, and they'll spot it at the 17, which makes this a 27-yard effort. The kick is up, and it is good. 2 for 2 for Tommy Freeberg today. Add 3 more on the board for the Bearcats. So Northwest Missouri State stretches their lead to 13-3. The NCAA Division II Semifinal Football Championship presented on ESPNU by Enterprise from Bearcat Stadium in Maryville, Missouri. It is Northwest Missouri State, the home team, leading Bloomsburg of Pennsylvania 13-3. With Kelly Stouffer, I'm Dave Armstrong. Right now, the Huskies are thinking, all right, we got our offense going just a little bit on that last drive. Can they keep it going? These Bearcat fans are saying, I don't think so.
Better yet, they need a good return to establish a little bit better field position than they've had.
Here comes Shook from his 5. And bowled over at the 20-yard line. Man, the Bearcats came flying in. So Bloomsburg comes in, and you see from Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, an enrollment of over 8,000. School founded in 1839, but a football program that was really resurrected 14 years ago when Danny Hale took over. Interesting to note that the 2 coaches in the game here today are both in the final 10 for Coach of the Year. The only 2 Division II coaches that you can say that about. So Danny Latour. Little halfback option, and the pass is complete to Billall. A little trickery again as Brittingham with the completion to Billall, and Darcel Clark makes the stop. Wow. But a huge play for the Huskies.
I tell you what, when you're an underdog on the road looking to win a championship, you have to pull off all the stops. And Brittingham, the left-hander, so you send him to his left. I thought this ball was in the air a little bit too long, but in the end, it's absolutely perfect. You can see Billall gets downfield. Initially, you have to sell it as a blocker. Then when you see the defensive back look into the backfield, that's when you blow by him.
Now into the end zone for Billall. A little bit overthrown by Latour. Quentin Womack was there on the coverage. They go right back to Billall. Well, right now, the Huskies 2 for 2 on trick plays here tonight.
You're right, but they blew the first opportunity. Very well executed to get them in this position. Billall is open. That ball just needs driven in there. A little bit too much air under it. That's the play that Latour is going to have to make if they're going to win this game here tonight.
They've opened up their offense, though, a lot more when they realized they weren't running the ball so well against this Bearcat defense. Going to try to run it here. And Brittingham is stopped by Kyle Kaiser.
You know, Dave, that's the problem for Bloomsburg when they loosen up a little bit and throw on first down. If they misfire, they're second and long. And then what do? Do you throw again? They run the football. They're not running it effectively. So guess what? We're back to third and long again, and they haven't been real effective in this down and distance yet today.
Well, Kelly, Danny Hale is thinking, I thought the pass is supposed to open up the run a little bit. That's not so far happening for the Huskies. So a 3rd and 8. And a good secondary sack here. Ryan Waters will get credit for the sack. He already is the career sack leader in Bearcat history and add 1 more to the total.
Yeah, Dave, you have it exactly right. Absolutely nowhere to go with the football. If there was any mistake at all, it's the young freshman, Dan Latour, not getting out of the pocket just about a second earlier than that. You have to know when enough is enough, and he was about a second late right there.
Well, you're out of field goal range. Field position would tell you why not go for it, but it's 4th and 13.
Yeah, and look for number 2, Billall, right here in this down and distance situation in the red zone.
And the pressure coming, back him up another 10. Wow, what defense for the Bearcats. Dallas Flynn, he completes the back-to-back sacks for Northwest Missouri State.
And Scott Bostic, the defensive coordinator for Northwest Missouri State, has a team in a long down and distance. It's like a shark smelling blood in the water. Absolutely turn the guys loose on the quarterback, especially, oh, by the way, when the quarterback happens to be a freshman that may be a little bit indecisive in this situation.
Again, maybe second guessing here, but wouldn't you like a pooch kick there to try to force it down inside the 20?
I think you're right. I think you're second guessing.
Okay.
You're doing a good job of it, though.
Well, but 4th and 13. I mean,
know
if it was 4th and 3 or 4th and 4, I might have done something different.
I agree with you. I totally agree.
But on 4th and 13, I might have tried to go for field position. We'll take a quick break and come right back to Maryville. Welcome back to Bearcat Stadium in Maryville, Missouri. And right now, the Bearcats not only lead by 10, but their defense has been dominating.
Yeah, after the big play, the trick play, the Bearcats absolutely shut them down. And a characteristic of a good defense isn't to give up no yardage whatsoever. It's to bow your back when your back's to the wall, and that's what you see out of the Bearcat defense in that series.
And when you do something like that, you almost force the opposition to play out of their style, and we both thought that Bloomsburg probably should have tried a pooch kick on 4th and long. This ball was tipped, but then caught by Oman as he comes out of the backfield and gets all the way down to the 42 of the Huskies. So make it 5 different receivers now for Josh Matthews to throw to here tonight.
These are the kind of breaks that Bloomsburg needs to have fall in their column. You can see the ball gets batted up in the air a little bit by Cologne 31. But the running back Oman does a good job of watching the ball into your hands and then turning and making a nice play.
How'd they get through Cologne? I mean, that went right between his arm and his helmet and partially deflected. Now Oman cuts it back to the right. Room to run. There goes Oman to the outside. Wow, all the way down to the 19-yard line.
Being two-dimensional as an offense is obviously a powerful thing, and Oman is that running back that brings that running dimension. Even though they're shotgun a lot, watch the vision right here. The play starts to the left, but the hole's to the right there. You can see if you secure backside, you give your running back always 2 options.
They mark him out at the 21. A lot of movement on that line.
Yeah, and the movement's coming too early, giving Josh Matthews an opportunity to see it.
And now the whistle will blow the play dead. And a false start here by the Bearcats. Hey, don't forget, later tonight, in fact, in less than a half hour, the NCAA Division II Football Championship continues as Delta State takes on Grand Valley State in the other semifinal. Live on ESPN2, presented by Enterprise. It starts at 7 Eastern, and you can also see it in high definition on ESPN2 HD. Call your cable operator or satellite provider for the latest information. So you back up 5 and make it 1st and 15, back to the 26. Matthews throws this one into coverage, and on the deflection, it is picked off. The Huskies have it on the deflection. Kyle Sisnovic, the linebacker, just coming back to the play, was at the right spot at the right time.
Jesse Cooper, the defensive back, number 1, is the one that breaks on the throw to tight end Peterson, number 89, right there. Tremendous coverage, gets his right hand in, and 26 Sisnovic is breaking on the football. You never know when hustle on the football field is going to pay off, and a linebacker 10 yards downfield is a great example of it on that point.
Well, you look at this game, Kelly, and the Huskies have really had all the breaks. They covered the onside kick. They had that one fake halfback play, but they haven't taken advantage so far of those plays. We'll see if they can take advantage of this turnover as they get the interception and start at their own 10. But now, too much time, and it'll cost them 5 yards.
Delay of game. You got to get in and out of the huddle on that turnover. The ready for play is signaled much quicker this year, and so the clock is ticking. You have to get in and out of the huddle. That's one of those nuances that a freshman quarterback doesn't get used to right away. But at this point in time in the season, Dave, he ought to have a handle on that.
Well, you see all the stats certainly favor the Bearcats so far in this game. Latour throwing from his own end zone. A dangerous pass out on the flat to Billall. He's got the catch up to the 14-yard line where Miles Burnsides makes the stop. Boy, this one floats out there dangerous on the flat.
Yeah, this could have been a disaster. A little bit of pressure in the end, and Latour couldn't step into it, but Billall is the go-to guy, obviously. Every time he touches the football, he averages 22 yards. If they need a play, they look for number 2.
He has more than twice as many catches as anybody else for Bloomsburg this year. And there he is again, Billall, with a first down out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Burnsides was there defensively for the Bearcats.
Watch Billall just running a nice route. His quarterback is coming to him, remember, so snap it to the outside on time. You need to get depth on your route so it coincides with your quarterback coming on the sprint out. You don't want to do it too early or the defensive back breaks early.
Tom Patrick, the offensive coordinator of the Huskies, was telling us that he says that Danny Latour, his freshman quarterback, has that wow factor. I see what he's talking about.
Yeah, that was a nasty situation for his team, being backed up and really just a play or two away for getting knocked out in this game. If you think of getting behind early or in the first half against this Northwest Missouri State team, it's going to be hard for you to come back.
Well, you see what they have done this year. An offensive coordinator for the Huskies. They love to run the ball. They haven't been able to do that so far today. In fact, Brittingham, their leading ball carrier, has just 11 yards on the ground and 9 carries. Now Latour, he'll run with it. Boy, he is hit hard, sandwiched right at the 34-yard line. Ryan Waters was one of those guys that gave him a lick.
And you wondered if Latour was going to get up right there. But this is the third option. He has 2 receivers outside. He's escorted by his running back, Brittingham. Third option is tuck the ball, get into a third down and short situation, which is what your offense is all about.
Well, a third and less than 2. You see, though, Bloomsburg minus 6 yards on the ground. Plenty of yards, enough here. And there goes Brittingham. Brittingham finally hauled down, but he gets it all the way down to the 38-yard line. Tyler Martin in the secondary to make the stop. Jamar Brittingham finally breaks one loose.
And you can see how much more effective Bloomsburg is offensively if they can be in this down and distance. Third and short, they're very good on the offensive line of sorting out the defensive look, getting a hat on a hat, and giving Brittingham running room if they're in the right down and distance.
Kelly, I agree with you. There are a lot of teams that are a lot better on third and short as opposed to third and long, but that's especially true for these Huskies. There was movement again early on the right side of that line for the Huskies. So again, just when they have good fortune, they do something like this where it backs them up 5. Prior to the snap, false start offense is what he said if you're a lip reader at home. So Danny Hale saying, all right, now we're at 1st and 15. Clock down to 2:21 remaining.
And what a lift it would be for the Huskies to get points going into the half. I mean, that would be absolutely tremendous.
Well, they can get it back to a one-possession game. I mean, obviously, they'd love a touchdown, but even a field goal gets you back into a one-possession game. They still have 2 timeouts remaining, and you see the time remaining in this first half. Here comes the end around, another trick play. Billall looking to throw, and he throws it up deep, up for grabs in the end zone and incomplete. Pass intended for Ryan Shook, and the ball was batted down by Diaz Calvert.
Billall would have been better off, I think, just running that football. That was designed to be thrown much earlier than that, but because of the penetration by Ryan Waters, 94, forced Billall to take a much deeper route to get around the edge. That ball is late. And Billall can run with the football. The better choice was to run it right there if you're number 2, Billall.
First trick play that didn't work for Hale and his Huskies.
He's certainly emptying the bucket, though, isn't he?
He really is. 2nd and 15, another sack. The 4th of the game for the Bearcats, and this one from Dallas Flynn, his 2nd.
Well, Dave, we talked about the window of opportunity for this Bloomsburg team is very, very narrow. And it's closing as we speak. When you don't take advantage of field position and make plays to go down and get some form of points, it's going to be tough sledding in the second half.
I'm thinking they did the onside kick to start the game. They went nowhere. They had the halfback pass, big play, went nowhere after that. They had the big run here by Brittingham. They've backed up since then. So on 3rd and 20, Latour throwing it down the sideline, and it's batted away. Good play defensively by Brandon Clayton.
The other thing that's happening is obviously Northwest Missouri State does a good job of scouting Bloomsburg. Every time Latour needs a play, he looks to number 2, Billall. There has to be another option. You can use a player by using him as a decoy a lot too. Let the defense rotate that way, which they did on that play, and find somewhere else to go with the football.
Kyle Ream to come on to punt it. Kendall Wright is back at his own 12-yard line waiting for it. And with 1:18 remaining and 1 timeout remaining, the Bearcats are probably thinking we have time to spread the lead a little bit. Good high punt. Wright's going to let it bounce, and that thing will bounce inside the 5 and down at the 3. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, kind of preview the NFL draft with some of the guys that will be eligible from the college game. Plus, we'll review the Heisman won by Troy Smith of Ohio State last night. Stats and highlights and much more coming up at halftime right here on ESPNU.
Well, put on your coaching hat right here. If you're Mel Churchma for Northwest Missouri State, you're backed up, you're ahead by 10. Do you go for it? Actually, they're already letting the clock start with that ready for play, so I think the answer is no.
I would be safe here. I really would. With a 10-point lead backed up this far, I'd run a play. If Oman busts it, then you might change your game plan. We'll see what they do. Oman's got it across the 10 and then stood up at the 10 and shoved back.
But Dave, you think of those missed opportunities that you highlighted for Bloomsburg. You know, those big plays, the onside, the halfback pass, even if you get field goals in those, or even one field goal, you're one possession, and you go into halftime with a much better taste in your mouth. You have those big plays, and then it's kind of fizzles. So you have the spectacular play and then a dud. And those are two words you don't want to hear if you're playing football. Fizzle and dud. No, you don't want to hear those if you're describing an offense, right? They've had those wow plays, but then they've also had plays that weren't so good. Oman again, as the Bearcats playing it very close to the vest, and that will do it for this first half. A half really dominated by the Bearcats and their defense. They did what they wanted to do. They stopped the Huskies on the ground, and they were able to get enough offense generated to take a 10-point halftime lead. Xavier Amon had a great first half, already over 100 yards for the 6th time in the last 7 games on just 15 rushes. He also scored the game's first and only touchdown. So at the half, it's Northwest Missouri State leading 13-3. Halftime here at Maryville with Northwest Missouri State leading 13-3. ESPNU's coverage of college basketball continue the doubleheader Wednesday night at 7 Eastern at Xavier in Cincinnati. Then at 9, it's Wake Forest and DePaul. College basketball on ESPNU Wednesday. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. With Kelly Stouffer, I'm Dave Armstrong back here at halftime, and this was a case really where the Huskies never got going because they couldn't capitalize on their big plays. Yeah, the gadget plays put them in position for points. They didn't get any points. You wonder if that was the door slamming on them in this game. And certainly a great running attack, not necessarily by Bloomsburg, but certainly by Northwest Missouri State. Yeah, and Oman, number 2, has been that guy out of of the spread set. They spread it around. You can see the numbers, 15 rushes, 110 yards. That's not the game. That's the first half. And he has the ability that good running backs have, good vision. He's physical when he needs to be, and then you can use him as an outlet receiver, and he just turns into the runner after that. A very physical guy, and he can finish drives just like that. You can see, and on the other side of the ball, it's been all Northwest Missouri State as well. Getting pressure on Latour as he gets outside, that's one of the things that Bloomsburg is going to have to adjust to, is how to block in pressure situations and get Latour in a more successful or advantageous way. Get him outside the pocket and let him see things. But right now, the sledding's been very tough. It's a very physical mismatch by that up front group by Northwest Missouri State. And you can see the stats. Bloomsburg had to rush the football, 16 rushes. But on the other side of the field, Northwest Missouri State has been able to do anything. They can run it, they can throw it, and they can get after the quarterback as well with the 4 sacks.
Absolutely, Kelly. When you look at it, only 16 rushing yards. Of course, those 4 sacks by Northwest Missouri State factoring into that total. So we'll see if Bloomsburg can get something going here in the second half. And they have changed their return team a little bit. They're going to let Bill All go ahead and do the returning as well. A bit of a change right now for the Huskies. Remember, this game started with an onside kick from Bloomsburg that they recovered, but then they did very little after that. Bill All hit before he gets to the 20-yard line. So they put Bill All on the return team, and Tommy Miller hits him at the 15.
And one of the places that the mismatch in speed shows up is special teams. Bill All is that guy that they want the ball in the hands of, but Northwest Missouri State isn't giving running room even in special teams.
So it's the Huskies starting at their own 17-yard line. Let's see if they can sustain something offensively. The trick plays have worked, but not much else. And they try to run around the left side, and Brittingham has stood up after a gain of only 1. Kyle Kaiser, he stands his ground defensively. So when you look at it here, a game that's just underway between Grand Valley State and Delta State over on ESPN2. The winner there will meet the winner of this game. Championship game on ESPN2 at noon next Saturday, noon Eastern time, from Alabama. And if it turns out to be Northwest Missouri State and Grand Valley State, it'll be a repeat of last year's final. A one-hop throw, pass intended for Masters, underthrown by Latour. So you look at Latour's first half, 4 of 8, 60 yards through the air. And look at Brittingham, though, only 38 yards on the ground and 10 rushes, and one of those a big play. The rest of the time he was really manhandled by this Bearcat defense. So another 3rd and long for the Huskies. It seems like they've been 3rd and long every time they get the ball.
That's why they've only converted on 2 of 7 third down situations.
Here comes pressure, a little shovel pass out to Brittingham, and he's got room to run. Not a trick play, but a well-designed play up to the 33-yard line, a first down. Burnsides makes the stop, but a good play there for the Huskies.
You have to have nerves of steel for Latour, the freshman quarterback. Invite the rush, and as it gets to you, as you see it right there, you flip it underneath on the shovel pass. Very well designed, and get number 71, Winton Shelton, out in front just as a personal protector. Very well designed in a play they desperately needed.
Good call there by Pagic, their offensive coordinator from up top. And the play here by Kaiser. Boy, he got to Brittingham in a hurry. Well, Grand Valley State, as expected, taking on Delta State here. A heavy favorite, Grand Valley State, in that game, and they have the early score with 10:29 to go in the first quarter.
And Grand Valley State in Michigan, we didn't get a weather report for that game, but Delta State obviously coming up from Mississippi.
It's got to be colder in Michigan at any time than it is in Mississippi.
That's a given.
Latour throws it to the sideline again to Bill All, and the pass incomplete.
Well, we talked at the top that Bloomsburg offensively and actually defensively, they're not real complicated. They want to get the ball in the hands of number 2 in the passing game, and they want to pound the rock in the running game with Brittingham. But when you continually get behind and down a distance, it makes it very, very tough. Your scheme isn't really designed to win consistently in 3rd and 12. Guess what? It's 3rd and 11. Man, oh man, it's another 3rd and long for the Huskies. And a fumble on the snap, and immediately Latour, his knee was down when he grabbed the ball, and that'll be it. And again, the Huskies are going to have to punt. We heard earlier in the week, Kyle Kaiser was talking about, the need to get after the freshman quarterback Latour a little bit. Get some hits on him and see if he has the courage to hang in there and continue to throw the ball accurately and make good decisions. When a quarterback puts the snap on the ground, sometimes that's insight into the fact that he's unnerved just a little bit. The punter, Kyle Ream. You saw the return guy, Kendall Wright, for the Bearcats. And here comes pressure, and the punt is blocked. Joe Beagley got in there to block the punt. Diaz Calvert also there. Calvert looks like he's coughing up part of the football. And the Bearcats, actually it was Calvert. I had it wrong. I pointed out Begley to you, but it was Calvert that came free. Begley was inside, the backup defensive lineman. But Northwest Missouri State has come close at least 2 other times prior to that. Seemed like it was only a matter of time before they got to one. I always think those first few moments of any half are so crucial, and the Bearcats dominating so far the first few minutes of this half, and it continues with Oman dragging a would-be tackler out of bounds to the 6-yard line. Tratine was the guy on the back of Oman. Wow, when it rains, it pours, and you get the big block punt, and you turn around and start where you left off the first half, giving it to Oman, who's a very physical runner. And right now, the bottom line is the Bearcats are controlling the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I think the big difference in this game, Kelly, the Bearcats are more multifaceted on offense. You've got Oman, who's that power runner, but also a slasher. And in addition to that, you have 4 different receivers to throw the ball to. I totally agree. They talk about in order to win championships or to win at this time of the year, you have to be able to run the football. But I put something else on that. You have to run it, but you also have to have the threat of the pass. One team has it, one team doesn't. 2nd and goal. The ball spotted at the 3-yard line. Oman already has 1 touchdown here tonight. Looking for some room and tripped up behind the line of scrimmage. Good play there by the Huskies. He falls forward to the 4-yard line. Sosnovic was there. So now what does Church McCall on 3rd down and goal at the 4? The first thing he does is bring in his wide receivers, where I think therein lies the favorable matchup if you're Northwest Missouri State. Get 4 or 5 wides in the game. Spread this defense out for Bloomsburg, and I think that's where you have an advantage. Got the ball spotted back at the 5-yard line. And here comes pressure. A sack by Cologne. Justin Cologne comes in almost untouched. It's hard telling what this play was supposed to end up being. I think it was a throwback screen. The play action, and I think Matthews is trying to throw back to a wide receiver on the screen. You saw the offensive line in unison going to the left. Bloomsburg defense simply blew it up. Anytime a defensive lineman comes in untouched, you feel like someone on that offensive line missed a play call. Missed a play call, or it's a screen. Freevert goes for his 3rd field goal of the night, and it's good. He's 3 for 3 tonight.
And Northwest Missouri State tacks on 3 more to make it 16-3. At the 9:54 mark, again, their defense gave them the position, and their offense took it down to the 5. The drive is stalled, but Freevert with his 3rd field goal of the night. Always wonder what a Bearcat looked like. Now you know.
What exactly is a Bearcat?
Part bear, part cat.
That didn't look like part bear. I didn't see any bear in that guy right there.
You didn't?
And by the way, those aren't real push-ups. He wasn't going down nearly enough. Those do not count.
Oh, you're one of those guys in PE class.
Absolutely.
Right.
Do it right or don't do it at all.
Yeah, right. Whatever.
He's used to doing more, though. 16 points this time of the game for this offense.
Well, that Bearcat's not even working up a sweat yet. And you know what? Considering that, Kelly, the Huskies are fortunate right now. Even though Northwest Missouri State has dominated this game statistically, they're settling for field goals, and that keeps the Huskies in this game. Here comes Bill All. Little stutter step, and he'll go out of bounds at the 15-yard line.
And that's a great point, Dave. And the question is, does Bloomsburg's offense have enough horses to do anything about the extra time they're getting? They should be out of this game right now because of not taking advantage of the big plays, gadget plays that created scoring opportunities for them. But Northwest Missouri State has allowed them to hang around. Sometimes when you allow an underdog to hang around, you're asking for trouble.
Well, we'll see if Danny Latour can make him pay. Huskies have come from behind. They did last week in the quarterfinals of Division II playoffs. We'll see if they can do it here tonight. Play that took a long time to develop, but finally the hole opened up for Brittingham, and he's able to get a good play on first down up to the 22 before Dallas Flynn can make the stop.
And very well blocked up front because you run a sprint draw when your passing game has produced little to nothing. Sprint draw generally doesn't mean a whole lot to the defense. They're thinking run the entire way, but still blocked up front very well.
Brittingham, we saw his numbers so far, and again, movement. So every time the Huskies take a big step forward, they take another one back. That's got to frustrate Danny Hale. I don't think they got Bob Saratka's mic fixed at halftime.
We'll see if we can detect it right here. Absolutely, the left guard, I believe, was the one that moved. 56, Swigert, is actually a backup left guard in there playing right now.
Quick drop, ball batted down right at the line of scrimmage, and another flag comes in. Thomas Smith batted that ball down, and we'll see what this flag is about. Another penalty going against Bloomsburg. Now, what do you do if you're the Bearcats? Do you take it or do you take 3rd and long? They're going to refuse the penalty.
Yeah, I think you're right. The difference is Northwest Missouri State is betting that Bloomsburg can't pick up 3rd and long, and so far they've won that bet.
So a 3rd and 7. They need to get just past the 24 for the first down. Latour again trying to change the play. Pass intended for guess who? Bill All, but he is drilled as the ball comes in the vicinity. Brandon Clayton really put a lick on Brahim Bill All.
And Bill All is the place to go. Man-to-man coverage, free safety in the middle of the field. On your go-to guy, obviously you go to number 2. You just have to deliver the football. Latour did not get his feet set. A little bit of pressure up front by Northwest Missouri State, but that ball needs to be put on the money, and that would have been a tremendous conversion on 3rd and long.
Another 3 and out for the Huskies. Last punt was blocked. Ream will get this one off a short kick. And it takes a neutral bounce And again, great field position for the Bearcats. They're going to start in Huskies territory at the 48-yard line when we come back. Right now, it's Northwest Missouri State leading by 13. Playing under the lights here in Maryville, Missouri, with Northwest Missouri State leading 16-3. The temporary lighting services for this NCAA Division II championship, courtesy of Musco Sports Lighting. Musco, the world-class leader in sports, film, and entertainment lighting. We brought 4 trucks in here, playing under the lights for the first time here in Maryville since 1977, when Northwest Missouri State was able to beat Pittsburgh State by the final score of 27-14. Amon with the run around the right side, able to get 5 yards on first down. Interesting, those two teams also the last several years have been playing at Arrowhead Stadium, the home of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, you think of the excitement of football in this part of the country. 20+ thousand go to that game in Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah, the two best teams from the MIAA. It's like if one of them doesn't win the MIAA, the other one will.
Yeah. I think this is a very, very, very important drive for Bloomsburg right here. They cannot allow Northwest Missouri State to drive the football, get any more points.
Oman, power running, right over center. Gives it down to the 40-yard line where Sisnovic makes the stop. Oman has been terrific. Matthews, 13 of 18. That's normal for him. He did have that one pick. It was on a deflection. Oman, almost 130 yards now on the ground. Faulkner has been the go-to guy through the air with 5 receptions for 48 yards. And Churchman's offense has done just enough, although they have stalled when they've gotten close to that goal line, except for the opening drive.
Yeah, if there's one chink in the armor, it's the fact that they have not gotten touchdowns in 3 times down in that red zone. They scored 1 touchdown, and on the year, they score 80% of the time, and 66% are touchdowns. 46 out of 69 trips in the red zone in 2006 resulted in touchdowns. Not here tonight.
No, not here tonight. If it had been that way, this game would probably already be over. We're trying to get a number for you on the injured player for the Huskies.
I hate it when you see trainers doing that knee stability check out on the field. You just hate to see that in this game.
Let's take another look.
Oh, man. Wow. That was a brutal collision. After seeing that, you hope that it's just something tweaked in the knee. That is absolutely a nasty look.
That's Earl McNeil getting up slowly, but under his own power, limping off the field. So we'll hope for the best for McNeil.
Yeah, and McNeil is the backup for Keating that hasn't played today yet because of that injury. So all of a sudden, that 7-man rotation is down to 5 and counting.
So they lose 2 starting defensive tackles, and it gets even tougher. A little update there from Grand Valley State, still leading Delta State 7-0. As they're more than halfway through that first quarter of play. A game you can see on ESPN2 high def. Pass across the middle. That's enough for the first down. They go to the tight end, Mike Peterson. Peterson, a transfer from Iowa Western Community College and Des Moines Community College. He is already working on his master's program, and he's just a junior as far as his eligibility is concerned. This guy's going to be a doctor by the time he gets done playing football here.
Doctor of something. He'll have the class time.
Played baseball at Des Moines Community College. Amon stopped at the line of scrimmage and then cuts it back and goes down to the 30-yard line. Apparent now that Mel Churchman wants to keep that clock moving.
Yeah, you already see Coach Churchman taking the air out a little bit at this point in time, but Bloomsburg is doing a nice job at the point of attack defensively, but they're not sewing up the backside. And so Oman is finding some running room after he bounces it from point of attack to the backside.
One of the things that's really changed for Northwest Missouri State, we'll talk about it here in a second. Oman again They'll have the first down and more. Jukes it outside, gets it down to the 22-yard line. In the past, when Northwest Missouri State Bearcats won their back-to-back national championships, they were known more for an unbelievable passing attack. Now they have more of a power running attack. And when Mel Churchman says, you know what, it used to be on 3rd and 3, we'd line up like we were going to run it, and then we'd try a trick play. Now we can run it on 3rd and 3.
Yeah. I think the bottom line is they're balanced, and that's why they're in this situation and well on their way to having an opportunity to complete what they didn't get done last year.
Interesting. The first question we asked Coach Churchman was last year's disappointment, getting stopped at the 4-yard line and losing by just 4 points. Has that served as motivation for this year? And he goes, absolutely, absolutely.
And that started probably a week after they finished 4 yards short in the national championship game 1 year ago, and they've been on a mission ever since. What you see out of this team, I think they have such a good scheme offensively. Motioning, formationing really stresses defenses to be sewn up in their coverages and their assignments. One mistake and you give up a chunk of yards.
Now, second and a long 2. Oman spins out of one tackle, spins out of another, and falls forward down to the 11-yard line for yet another first down.
And football's a lot easier when you're second and short and when you can give it to a back like number 2, Omar. Look at the yards after contact. The spin move, and then a little hop dragging a defender and ends up converting. Now it'll be first and 10 with the possibility of getting another first down about the half-yard line.
This drive has been more about Oman than anything else. Also chewing up a large chunk of that clock. Here comes Oman again. Stood up at the 10, falls forward to the 9-yard line. And this is where the Bearcats offense, quite frankly, has stalled in this game. When they get close to this 10-yard line, they've been backed up a little bit and have settled for 3 field goals. So their 5th trip into the red zone. They have that 1 touchdown on the first drive, and then 3 field goals since then.
Well, compare that to the body of work on the year. 69 trips down there, 46 touchdowns. I mean, that's just off the hook. Good.
Matthews to throw it. He's got his man Faulkner, who is forced out of bounds at the 5-yard line by Tritine.
Bloomsburg defense has done a nice job of bowing their back when the team is driving the football and getting the offense off the field, holding them to a field goal in most cases. But the bottom line is their offense, Dave, hasn't reciprocated and gotten anything going. That's been the problem. You get the feeling that their defense, Bloomsburg's defense, needs to make a play, get a turnover, and create points on their own.
Bloomsburg did get that 1 interception at the 10-yard line in the second quarter. Here comes pressure, and the ball's batted down at the line of scrimmage and incomplete. So we should expect to see Tommy Freevert coming on for his 4th field goal attempt of the night.
So once again, Bloomsburg defense holding Northwest Missouri State to a field goal try. An offense that's scoring almost 36 points a game on the year. They're doing a nice job of getting them off the field and keeping them out of the end zone.
Freevert, you see, his 3 field goals, 31, 27, and 31. This one will be from 23 yards. Tough angle. Good snap, good hold, good kick. 4 for 4 for Tommy Freevert tonight. 10 field goals all year coming into tonight. He adds 4 more here tonight. So Josh Matthews, the holder, does his job. Cody Lanus, the snapper, does his. And the Bearcats tack on 3 more. So Northwest Missouri State tacks on 3 more and lead 19-3. And Northwest, a lot of people were picking them in this game. I don't know about Santa, but certainly a lot of people that follow D2 football were picking Northwest Missouri State and looking forward to perhaps another matchup with Grand Valley State in the finals.
Well, Bloomsburg needs some excitement to come from somewhere. It might as well come on the kickoff return right here. Your playmaker, Bill All, is back deep. Let him get this team going.
Bill All's returned the last couple for the Huskies, but really has been stopped shy of the 20-yard line in both instances. High end-over-end kick. Bill All's got it at his own 2. Hemmed in again. And again, he's going to be stopped shy of the 20, this time shy of the 10. Tommy Miller with yet another great play on special teams. Mel Churchman took his team to the Division II championship in 1998. Northwest Missouri State combined for 346 yards. Tony Miles with a touchdown there. And how about this touchdown from Chris Greason to Hill into the end zone? And the fans came storming onto the field on a rainy day in Alabama. And Northwest Missouri State wins this one by the final score of 24-6. They would go on to win again the next year, back-to-back championships. 99 even more exciting as they came back from a good deficit to win that one in a come-from-behind fashion. So Mel Churchman, who took a program that was beyond abysmal. We asked him if he thought this kind of success was there for the taking when he first came into Maryville. He just laughed.
He burst out laughing.
Yeah.
Wondered what the joke was.
Because you see this facility now, Kelly. It's fantastic. All this has been rebuilt. They've rebuilt the playing field. $7 million total has been spent here. The West End Zone was the last thing to be completed with a new press box, a new luxury suites, coaches' boxes. The East Ends were redone by the students. They changed the name of the stadium to Bearcat Stadium because they wanted it to be a reflection of the entire community. And they're all smiles right now, at least as far as the Bearcats are concerned, leading here 19-3 with 2:24 remaining. And when you look at the Bearcats here, they just look so dominant, don't they?
Yeah. They absolutely do, and they also have knowledgeable fans that know what's going on in the game, down and distance, third and manageable right here for Bloomsburg, and the crowd gets into it once again.
On 3rd and 4, another sack. That is the 6th sack of the night. This one coming from Thomas Smith, the linebacker.
You're seeing the mismatch really kind of rise to the top. Northwest Missouri State dominating the line of scrimmage and really the front 7. Bloomsburg's trying to get Latour outside, Dave, but they can't even get him outside right now before he gets pressured.
So now Ream with his feet very close to the end of the end zone. Remember, he's already had one block tonight. Has to get this one out of there in a hurry. Wright will take it at the 37-yard line. Guess what? Great field position again for the Bearcats. So when you look at the brackets, the quarterfinals, let's start with Grand Valley State, the #1 seed, easily beating North Dakota. And tonight taking on Delta State, leading 7-0 there. Northwest Missouri State, they beat Chadron State and beat them handily last week, although they had to come from behind to do it. They actually trailed for the first time in a long time, and Bloomsburg had to come back to beat Shepherd. Bloomsburg's won their 2 playoff games by an average of 2 points. Amon doing a little dance. And we've got a flag that comes in as the play is stopped at the 36. Now Grand Valley State leading 14-0. And that rematch is looking more and more likely.
And we did get a weather report in the 30s and expecting precipitation. The team from Mississippi, Delta State, going up and playing in Michigan this time of the year. That's why you want to play at home if you have that kind of an advantage.
Now Churchman's team whistled for the holding here. That'll back him up. By the way, his defense in this half, they've held the Huskies to just 16 yards of total offense.
Well, we've brought up Chadron State a couple of times, and they're right in my neck of the woods in northwest Nebraska. The thing that Chadron State did, that game ended up, Northwest Missouri State won 28-21. Chadron State had something different to do offensively with Danny Woodhead. Right now, in this game, Bloomsburg hasn't had a second option.
1st and 20. Matthews, good catch on the wing by Robinson. And he takes it down to the 36-yard line. Marcus Waddy was there defensively. Good adjustment by Robinson on the catch.
And a very nice throw by Josh Matthews. Sometimes it's not how hard you throw it, it's if you throw the right kind of ball. This had to go over a defender and then get there before the safety was able to get there off the hash. Throwing with finesse is called for, and Josh Matthews does a very nice job throwing that type of ball.
5th catch of the night for Robinson. Now back to Oman, and good play defensively there by Greg Myers. So the clock will run out the end of the 3rd quarter, but the Bearcats have risen to the challenge so far here tonight. But Northwest Missouri State scored the first 10 points of this game and have never looked back, leading now 19-3 as we get ready to start the 4th quarter of play from Northwest Missouri State and Maryville, Missouri. 3rd down, 8 yards to go for the Bearcats. Matthews, plenty of time, and a wide open receiver in Abe Quad. Quad with his first catch of the night.
See, and that's that communication thing again by Bloomsburg's defense. When you're playing a zone, you have to communicate and pass receivers off to the next guy and let other defenders know that a guy's setting in your zone. And Northwest Missouri State makes it very difficult by using multiple formations and motions.
7 different receivers now have caught a ball for the Bearcats tonight. Now Amon goes back to that power running game. He takes it down to the 20-yard line.
Power running game, and the clock keeps ticking. See, and this is the time they say you have to run late in the year to win championships at any level. And this is one of the reasons why. When you're ahead, you have to run the football to protect the lead. And right now, Northwest Missouri State's in the process of doing just that.
It's called game management, isn't it,
Yes,
Kelly?
it is.
Oh, looks like some movement. Might have been Tom Pestock, who moved a little bit early from his left guard position. Mel Churchman doesn't like that.
False start. 75 offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd down.
It was the aforementioned Pestock.
When you're 6'6", 300 pounds, sometimes it just takes a little flinch to move a whole lot of body.
Look at the total yards tonight. That's really more indicative, more than the score, of the dominance for the Bearcats tonight. What they've done in the red zone. They did have that one interception, but they were just outside the red zone when that happened. So 2nd and 12. Matthews does a good job of staying in there. And he throws a strike to Faulkner, who takes it down to the 1.
The last couple of pass plays, we see the difficult time Bloomsburg's had. They bring pressure here, and they can't get to Matthews, and then you have the mismatch downfield. In this case, Robinson against the defensive back. But when you choose to play zone defensively, actually it was Faulkner, the speed guy, mismatch on the defensive back. But if you're Bloomsburg and you decide to play zone, it doesn't work either.
1st and goal from the 1. Oman dives into the end zone for the touchdown. And really, justice is served because Oman, big on the last play, he had a tremendous block that allowed Matthews the time to find E.J. Faulkner.
Yeah, that's a great job pointing that out, Dave. The good running backs not only carry the load, but they pass protect as well. And Oman gets this into the end zone. Very physical play. Good running backs know how to find that goal line.
So 2 touchdowns tonight for Oman. 21 on the year. The extra point is good. And now the Bearcats have this one well in hand. Let's look at the previous play, though, by Xavier Oman as he comes up with a huge block here that allows Matthews just enough time to find Faulkner, who takes it down to the 1. Welcome back to Northwest Missouri State. It certainly looks like the Bearcats will be on the road again to Florence, Alabama, for what very well could be that matchup, that rematch between Northwest Missouri State and Grand Valley State. As you see, Northwest Missouri State with another touchdown here. 7 plays, 41 yards. Oman with his second touchdown of the night. And why not? Oman has been terrific. 151 yards on the ground and 2 touchdowns.
He's a nice back. He has the total package. Very physical runner, but can also bounce it outside for yards.
Shorter kick this time. Chuck takes it, and he is knocked down at the 30-yard line. Don't forget, ESPNU's coverage of college basketball continues with a doubleheader Wednesday night. First of all, it's the 24th-ranked Musketeers of Xavier meeting their crosstown rivals, the Cincinnati Bearcats. Then at 9 Eastern, it's Wake Forest and DePaul. College basketball on ESPNU Wednesday. For more information, log on to ESPNU.com. You know, an offense that has done absolutely nothing really for the whole game, but especially here in the second half. They're really facing it down 26-3. Have to open things up now. Pressure coming. Pass on the flat. Pass is caught over there by Greg Masters. And he's got it up to the 39-yard line. You see where Northwest Missouri State ranks in the MIAA. Their defense, first in points allowed, first in rushing yards allowed, second in passing yards allowed, which you would figure then total yards, they're going to be first in that as well. 3 shutouts here. Close to a shutout here tonight. Just allowing that one long field goal from the Huskies. Latour, he wants to run with it, but nowhere to run. He tries to get outside and stopped at the 40, which will bring up 3rd and 1.
In a situation like this in the game, Dave, you might actually, if you're Bloomsburg, discover another component to your offense, and particularly Latour. Maybe he has more ability to throw the football than you've given him a chance to do. I know your foundation is running the football, but obviously you have to have the ability to do more than that when you come up against a defense like they have tonight.
Facing a 3rd and 1, Latour again trying to change the play. So loud in here. Good second effort there by Brittingham, and he's got the first down. We're at Bearcat Stadium in Maryville, Missouri. We're here for the NCAA Division II semifinal matchup between Northwest Missouri State and Bloomsburg. With Kelly Stouffer, I'm Dave Armstrong. Glad to have you with us here in Northwest Missouri, where the Bearcats have absolutely dominated this game, and you can see at home in the playoffs, looks like they're going to 11-3. Latour going to tuck it and run, heading out of bounds. Drug out of bounds eventually by Thomas Smith right near midfield. You know, Latour is a great story, Kelly, because when you look at him, just a true freshman, he sat out last year because, quite frankly, the coaches told us he was burned out on football. He took his high school team to a couple of state championships and just about had enough, and they had to kind of work with him and say, you know what, it's okay. And then now all of a sudden they say he's totally recommitted to football again. He's very athletic. He doesn't get rattled. And he has been an absolute delight to coach and a delight to lead this team. And he said the upperclassmen absolutely wrap their arms around this guy, and he's a one that they can follow even though he's a true freshman.
29-1 as a starter in high school.
With this will blow this dead before they get going.
They're 29-1 as a starter in high school, 2 state championships. At a lower class in Pennsylvania, but really last year amounted to almost like a redshirt season for him. He stepped away from the game and then came back and was ready to go again and just hit the ground running.
2nd and 8. Well, another one of those times, Kelly, where they started to get something positive going and then backed themselves up with a penalty. A little shuffle pass. Brittingham, room to run, will have a first down. Good run by Brittingham. Boy, showing great effort here to get it down to the 33-yard line.
And I think this is exactly what the Huskies needed to be doing earlier in the game. If Brittingham is your guy that needs to carry the load and you can't get him off running the football, get him involved more in the passing game. That's the analogy I used with Chadron State and Danny Woodhead. The coaching staff made a great adjustment and got Woodhead the ball in plays just like this. Last week, Woodhead had 10 receptions. And coming into today, Brittingham's only had 10 or 9 receptions the entire season. You have to get your workhorse the running ball or the football.
If you can't get it just handing it to him, you've got to find another way. Another sack here for Northwest Missouri State.
And every time Northwest Missouri State needs a play from their defense, they get it. And that's been the MO the entire year. Coach Churchman told us that the beginning of the year, they hung their hat on the defensive side of the ball and just wanted to let their offensive side of the ball grow up. And it's worked very well, obviously, for them in 2006.
2nd and 17. The two are rolling out, throwing on the run. Bill All with the catch. He takes it down to the 23-yard line. It'll be 3rd, but now 3rd and manageable. Well, an update here. Delta State gets on the board. They're back within a touchdown. And you can see that game on ESPN2 live right now. Third and 5. Going to go for it all, and Bill All out of his reach and incomplete. So it brings up 4th and 5, and you would expect the Huskies to go for it here.
Oh, sure. Certainly this is the must go to or go for it in this down and distance this time of the game. And you would think they have maybe a different option than going to number 2 Bill All. Coverage is being rotated by Northwest Missouri State to number 2 is on the bottom side of the screen right here. Right now it looks man-to-man, but generally a safety bails out of that defensive front in the end and doubles him.
So Huskies that have any chance at all, they need to convert right here, and they don't. A low throw in and out of the hands of Bill All. And the Huskies will turn it over on downs. Miles Burnside's a tremendous defensive play there as well.
And Latour did a very nice job of finding the single covered guy, which was Bill All in that case. But 15 Burnside's made a tremendous play in coverage.
So Northwest Missouri State continues to dominate. We'll have the ball when we come back. The NCAA Division II Football Championship presented on ESPNU by Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Pick Enterprise, we'll pick you up. With Kelly Stauffer, I'm Dave Armstrong. Watching Northwest Missouri State lead Bloomsburg 26-3. And now they have the ball back, and you would expect this is going to be power running, and move that clock. Just keep it rolling. These guys in the Division II semifinals, and when you look at the Division II, 22 different conferences, 295 Division II member institutions, and when you look at the average enrollment of 3,400, they play for 12 men's and 13 women's championships. And keep this in mind, too, probably the most important number of them all, Division II athletes graduate at a rate of 69%. That's outstanding. So when you look at the Division II and what they are able to accomplish, you know, a lot of times say this is really pure sports. Yeah. It's really, it goes back to the days where it's not big money. Yeah. It's all about kids playing for all the right reasons.
Absolutely right. I would agree with that.
You look at all the conference championships here in the MIAA, and boy, how many of those just since Mel Churchma took over. Good run here by Cook, Sheldon Cook, backing up Oman, who's going to get a little time off.
But you hit the nail on the head about the purity. I mean, look at the resume with Mel Churchma. What a tremendous man. And you talk to his players, and they would go through a wall for him, turn this program around, and getting the recognition that he deserves. But as soon as you talk about him, he immediately turns to his assistant coaches and his players, past and present.
Around here, he's forever tied with Chuck Broyles, who's the excellent head coach of the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. Coming into tonight, they each had 18 playoff wins. Yeah. So Mel Churchma is going to go past Chuck Broyles, and I had the opportunity several years ago at Arrowhead Stadium to be the master of ceremonies for a banquet where both of these coaches were, along with Bill Snyder, who was then coaching Kansas State. And we were talking about these guys making the drive for Chuck Broyles from Pittsburgh and for Churchma here from Maryville down to Kansas City. And Broyles told a funny story about how he always brought a couple of shirts with him from Pittsburgh because he'd invariably spill a Diet Coke or something on one of them on the way there. And Mel Churchma got up to the podium, and he said, you know, it's funny, I left Maryville, and about 10 miles out of town, I spilled coffee all over my shirt and had to go back. So they're really, you know, non-assuming. They're coaches that at this level, they coach for the pure joy of coaching, the pure love of the sport.
Yeah, absolutely. You see the big catch by number 5, Robinson, but it's not just it's the purity that pervades the entire programs at this level. The kids are playing because they want to play. The vast majority of them aren't going beyond this level, this game. You know, the loser of this game, for most of them, it'll be the last football game that they play competitively. And the coaches are here for the same reason. And so sometimes the coaches invest more in the players from a personal standpoint because they're not preparing them for the next level. Mm-hmm. They're preparing them for life in a much bigger way than you might see in some cases at a higher level.
You know, and you talk to the assistants, and they say one of the reasons they stay at this level is because it's not just about winning football games, but there are so many other factors, family factors. And when you look at Mel Churchma and the loyalty that his staff has had towards him and his program here at Northwest Missouri State, the same can be said for Danny Hale and what's going on at Bloomsburg. Long pass play here intended for Kendall Wright, just a little bit out of his reach. And I was thinking, too, about Danny Hale and his defensive coordinator, Paul Dara, and he was telling us the story about his son, Gabriel, who's been able to make a few trips, and he wasn't able to make this trip, but Gabriel insisted that his dad make sure he got ESPNU on his cable package this week. So, Gabriel, we hope you're watching back in Bloomsburg.
Yes, smart boy. And that trip with his son wasn't a trip that you could make at a different level.
Right.
You know, those type of things don't happen if you're at one of those other schools playing for a bowl somewhere.
Pass across the middle is caught just enough for the first down to Kendall Wright. Right now the Bearcats are throwing just enough just to move the chains and get the clock moving.
Yeah, the majority of the time they have double tights in the game, and Oman has come out of the game just a few plays ago, and 33 Sheldon Cook has been carrying the load in the running game, but you're starting to see some other players get in there.
here by Sheldon Cook. And again, that clock is moving. And we talk about assistant coaches. And there's, of course, Ed T. Rush, longtime NBA official who's now coaching the running backs. And how about that? I mean, you just come back and say, you know, I'm just going to go and help out a little bit. You know, why retire? Go and do something else and give back to the community a little bit.
Yeah, good friends with Danny Hale and says, sure, I'll do that. I've seen official Rush tee up a bunch of guys in his day, and now he's coaching up some running backs.
Pass a little bit low, intended for Robinson. It'll stop the clock with 4:35 remaining. So Ed T. Rush, I'm sure it's a disappointing time for Bloomsburg, but you know what? I have a feeling with Danny Hale, he'll put all this in perspective. Great story on Danny Hale yesterday on ABC as they were showing the 10 different coaches that are going for Coach of the Year, and how Danny Hale every Friday, he goes to a state penitentiary to visit inmates. He said, I just want to give something back to the community. It's an hour drive each way for him. And here it is on Friday. Usually when you're preparing for a game, he takes time out of his schedule to give something back. Good run there by Sheldon Cook. And another first down for the Bearcats.
And Sheldon Cook had, coming into this game, 68 carries. Because remember, there was a time when Oman was banged up, actually broke some ribs against Central Missouri. Hadn't played until the playoff game last week. Or actually when the playoff started, and he's obviously back to full form, but Cook came in relief and did a tremendous job.
So at the 11, 1st and 10, Cook stopped right at the 10. Bearcats right now are just happy to see that clock moving.
In fact, where Cook had a tremendous game was against the Gorillas in Arrowhead Stadium. Cook had well over 100 yards and led Northwest Missouri State to a victory over that in-conference rival.
Mel Churchman, his Bearcats are about 3.5 minutes away from Florence, Alabama. And a timeout is called here to stop the clock with 3:38 remaining. We'll be back in a moment. NCAA Division II Semifinal Football Championship presented on ESPNU by Enterprise. These Bearcat fans have been waiting a long time to play at night under the lights on ESPNU, and the Bearcats are going to move on to the championship to meet the winner of Grand Valley State and Delta State in Florence, Alabama, noon Eastern time on ESPN2 next Saturday. Good penetration here defensively by Greg Myers, the linebacker.
And knowing both of these coaches, it would seem like Churchman would be very happy with this clock just running out, not getting any other points on the board.
Yep.
A lot of respect from one side to the other. Respecting the game, but also respecting, obviously, the student athletes that play the game.
Well, a 3rd and 11 from the 12. And in and out of the hands of Peterson. Deflected away there by Tratine. Josh Matthews has had another fine day. He'll throw for 240 yards on the day with that one interception. But 22 of 31. Wow.
It's kind of been his year, completing 66% of his passes, 162 efficiency rating, 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That is incredible.
Going for it here on 4th and 11, throwing it up into the corner of the end zone, and it's a touchdown. Raphael Robinson, his 3rd touchdown of the year.
Robinson running the fade on number 3, Marcus Waddy. And what happens a lot of times in that, Dave, is the defender doesn't look back quickly enough. And Robinson makes a nice adjustment to the football.
Freevert to tack on the point after. Freevert with 4 field goals in this game. So far, 2 for 2 on extra points. And that one right through the middle. So the Bearcats are celebrating and smiling, and why not? They're heading back to Florence, Alabama with 2:44 remaining. The extended season is perfected by Northwest Missouri State tonight. Well underway. They're heading back to Florence, Alabama, as they going to move on from this semifinal matchup with a dominating win tonight over the Huskies. They dominated both sides of the ball. With Kelly Stauffer, I'm Dave Armstrong. Glad to have you with us here in Maryville. We were just talking during the break, Kelly, about what a dominant performance this has been, really, for the Bearcats. They are a complete team. Special teams have been really good. They did give up that one onside kick to start the game, but other than that, they've been terrific. They blocked a punt tonight. Offensively, they run the ball well. They throw the ball well. Defensively, they have absolutely stymied the Huskies, so they're moving on to face the winner of Delta State and Grand Valley State. And how about that one now? Tied at 14. Grand Valley State took a 2-touchdown lead, but Delta State has come back to tie it. That's a game you can watch right now on ESPN2.
Sweet home Alabama.
How about that?
That's been their focus this entire season, to get back to that championship game.
New quarterback in there now for the Huskies. Matt Friedman is taking the snaps, as both coaches are going to empty their benches now to get everyone some playing time.
And when you put a new quarterback in the game, that's sometimes what you see happen is the ball on the ground, the center quarterback exchange, but also the ball handling in the backfield, handing the ball off to running backs. If you haven't worked with them a lot, sometimes that's exactly what happens. The ball ends up on the grass.
Huskies, a team that they've got a lot of youth on their team. Latour, as we mentioned, a true freshman. Brittingham, a junior. He'll be back for another campaign. Stephon Adams, their fullback, a true freshman. But for Mel Churchma, the celebration begins for the Bearcats as that clock winds down near 1 minute. Congratulations, and he's avoiding the Gatorade shower at the end.
We need a better attempt than that. We need the players to go back and get another bucket and wait until the coach has his back turned. That might be a phase of the game there's a weakness on this team, is dumping water on the head coach.
Yeah, they really need to work on that end of their celebration.
And first of all, you don't do it with just one man. You have to have at least two.
I've never
we need
seen
another attempt.
I've never seen a coach straight arm the bucket.
The stiff arm is effective, but usually not by the head coach. They need to try it again. I don't know if they have any other bucket that's full of anything, but go get him again. You've earned it.
Back-to-back, going to that national championship game in back-to-back years. What an accomplishment that is.
Yeah. I think having the advantage, being close but not close enough 1 year ago, 4 yards short down and losing 21-17, and now you get a chance to do it all over again.
So congratulations to the Bearcats of Northwest Missouri State. It is a final. The goalpost is coming down. The student body here in Maryville, Missouri. They storm out onto the field and celebrate the semifinal win over the Huskies of Bloomsburg. We'll be back to wrap things up when we come back in just a moment. Once again, Northwest Missouri State wins this one by 30. Well, the student body celebrating right now as they rip down the goalposts here at Bearcat Stadium. And Northwest Missouri State going back to the national championship game. They await the winner of Grand Valley State and Delta State. And joining us now, the head coach of the Bearcats, Mel Churchman. Mel, continued success here, and congratulations on your win tonight.
Well, thank you. I'm so proud of our defense. They did a great job the whole ball game. Offensively, we really moved the football. We didn't do a very good job. I didn't do a very good job of calling plays in the red zone. Other than that, we had a great night.
Hey, Coach, a dominating performance. Does your team have a weakness? Where is that weakness if they have one? I didn't see it tonight.
Well, that's because we didn't punt tonight.
So the play calling must not have been too bad.
Well, I guess not. But, no, we've played. We're a great defensive team. And, you know, our depth on defense is so good. And offensively, we've gotten better and better each week. And we had a good night tonight. We just couldn't quite make the plays in the red zone. Do
you have a preference, Delta State, or do you want that matchup again that you had last year with Grand Valley State?
You know, we're just thrilled to be there. Whoever's going to be there is going to be a great opponent. We know that, but last year we went there and we played. This year we're going to go there on a mission. We want to win national championship.
Congratulations. Have a great trip to Alabama.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's Mel Churchman, the head coach of Northwest Missouri State. They were dominant here tonight. And you see that Grand Valley State now leading Delta State 21-14. If they hang on and win that one, then it would be that great rematch between Northwest Missouri State and Grand Valley State. Once again, our final score, Northwest Missouri State wins this one 33-30. Coming up next, NCAA on campus. Additional stadium lighting provided by Musco, the official lighting supplier of NCAA championships. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For Kelly Stauffer and our entire ESPN production crew, Dave Armstrong saying so long, everyone.